It seems to me that this conference is a unique event. It's an international mental health conference being held in Wales. What I love about it is the mix of people we can get together talking about things of common interest. So we have mental health users, we have family members, we have healthcare professionals, we have voluntary organisations, and I'm particularly pleased with the international presence that we've got here today. We've got colleagues from Malaysia, from Palestine, from Italy, from Spain, and last but not least from England as well. So that's brilliant and fantastic to see all of you here. And isn't Wales beautiful on a morning like this too? It was inspiring to drive over here this morning and see the beautiful Welsh countryside, a good advertisement for Wales as well. Today is about sharing and learning, and I hope a bit of inspiring too, because we all, after these sort of events, have to go back into our everyday workplace, but keep that motivation for change and for serving our communities and our people better. So inspiring and learning is what today is all about. I quite often describe myself by background as being a simple hospital manager. That's what most of my background has been in my career. And therefore, coming to events like this, I learn about a whole new dimension of how services and people who use them and people work together in a very different way that is really outside my experience over very many years. And I think something that other parts of healthcare and health services really need to learn from. And that's part of the reason that I like to support this event as well. Particularly what I hope is that the learning from each other that we do on an event like this leads to further development, leads us to move our services, our relationship with people who are using services further forward. And what I hope, John, is that this event, whether here or somewhere else, but I hope in Wales, does become a regular event so that we can actually keep abreast of each other's progress as we develop and we learn together. I think that would be fantastic if we achieve that. So before moving on to the first session, I'm just going to say a couple of things as the chair. I have to say, I was saying to John, this is quite a challenge to chair this morning, because looking down the programme, and there are some alterations to the programme as we go through. We're going to be talking about a lot today. And we've got various people with transport arrangements and all of the rest of it, so we're going to have to try to keep to time too. So my first message is to our speakers is I've got the remote control to turn the microphone off, so we need to try and make sure we keep to time, just for everybody's sake. So please try to do that. The other thing, from the way that the programme is organised, from now until coffee break at 11:30, we are sitting here listening to people talk about their services. I think it is fine for people to get up and walk out if and come back in if they find that that's a problem, because that's quite a long period of time to be sitting still. Please, if you do that, please do so in a respectful way to the speakers, though. Because there will be changeovers between speakers, so please use that. But I know that's a long, 2.5 hours or nearly. It's a long time for people to be sitting still. The other thing in terms of introducing these events, you've got the conference packs, you've got the biographies of people who are speaking. I'm not intending to do any of that. So my thing is just to try and keep the sessions moving and just try and make sure that we get through the morning, getting the most out of our speakers and the learning that we have in this room. So I'm going to try not to say too much, and this will be the longest bit you hear from me, I think. So on that basis, I'm going to move directly on, and I'm going to ask John Jenkins to come back onto the platform and talk about some of the ways that networking and our experience and his experience of networking influences change. So, John, it's over to you.
The master of networking is Roberto. So, when we started to think about the importance of getting together people that had a common interest and a common purpose in trying to bring about change in the way in which we provided services and the way in which people with mental health problems were treated around the world. This came out of course, that in the days where we were trying still to promote and advocate for change in the institutional system in this country and in many other countries in the world. And there was a group of people around the world who had a similar mission, that they wanted to bring about this change, but they were working in isolation in terms of trying to do this, and also, importantly, trying to convince the health system or the local authority system in their countries to actually take it seriously in terms of the need to bring about this change. So they needed a support mechanism, a support structure. So that's one of the reasons why we set up this International Mental Health Collaborative Network. In the beginning, it was a very informal group. So, and at the same time that we were trying to do this, perhaps in the English-speaking countries in the world, Roberto and his colleagues were trying to do it in other different language-speaking countries.
Thank you, John. It was like when at football, you know, it was England versus the rest of the world. Okay, yeah. But yes, it's a long story, but I just have to mention that what happened in many countries, starting from Italy, was just a continuous double way and multiple way influence. So everybody had to learn from each other, particularly when we started 50 years ago, the change in Italy, and Basaglia was inspired by Maxwell Jones, the therapeutic community in Scotland, by French sector, by the American development of the first community mental health center after the Kennedy reform in the 60s. So and there were a lot of continuous exchanges. And when, of course, we started to better know what was happening in the UK, we had a lot of talk with friends like Professor Alec Jenner, who recently died in Sheffield. He was one of the pioneers of new ideas and also having a broader view of the health issues, mental health issues, starting from a more philosophical and humane point of view rather than applying reductionist medical knowledge. And then we exchanged a lot of practices together. Of course, the processes of reforms that came up in Spain, for instance, was heavily influenced by the Italian experience, and they influenced us on the opposite. And also, of course, what happened in South America, Brazil, is another example. So I think we have a lot to exchange, good programs, good ideas, and of inspirations. I learned personally what the word recovery from, you know, in the 90s, coming to conferences in the UK and USA. So it's, and now we are exchanging a lot of ideas how to influence bodies like the WHO, World Health Organization, which is an international organization depending on the United Nations, which is, of course, like all these are organizations, very broad in the intentions and the objectives, but must be more specific in trying to influence, you know, better care all around the world. And so we need local experiences. We need to link the global and the local. We need to link the persons, the people, and the organizations in a view of global influence and change. If you miss these connections, I think we can do very, very few things. So I think it's important that the international networking is a principle that recognizes that we are all trying to improve the field where we are with a critical sight. So we need to have a critical approach because the mainstream, the dominant thinking is linked by, of course, economic interests, is linked by, like the pharmaceutical companies, is linked by mainstream thinking, and sometimes is not so liberating in terms of ideas. It's very oppressive sometimes. And psychiatry still is, so like Basaglia said, a branch of social consensus. Sometimes it is. So still, and if we abandon institutions, the institutional thinking, like John used to say, is still a mainstream. So we need to link what happens outside institution and inside institutions, inside services, and what the NGOs, and particularly people with lived experience, can bring to the process of change. The International Mental Health Collaborating Network is such a very strange object that was created through this confluence of different experiences and ideas around the world. And I think that today is a very, it's a living body. It's an organism. It's growing, like this conference is showing. And I think that it's very important for all of us to feel that we are individuals and also organizations that can contribute to this growth of a better awareness of where we are, what we can do, and try to improve the conditions, particularly of people suffering with mental health problems all around the world. And what's happening here has an influence to other places, as we know, because we are connecting ideas in a much faster way than before. So this is an invitation for all of you to join the network, and there is a website. It's not difficult to become a member of the network, and we are also trying to organize practical arrangements such as twinning collaboration, for instance, between organizations that can allow people to exchange and to meet. This is something we are trying to develop also here in Wales between Trieste organization and one of the Welsh healthcare organizations here. This is what happened in the past among different organizations and states. So we think that this conference is just one of the steps in this long march, long run to the improvement. We really love to have this very various and colored components of different perspective, and this is, I think, this is the only way to recognize that we need the plurality of the points of view. We need the plurality of powers. We have to expand the idea that mental health is everybody's business. Thank you.